Welcome to the second session of the referencing and citation presentation. So we will be looking at reference verbs. So when you are trying to paraphrase, you usually need to use some verbs that introduce the statement from the other author, from the original author of the statements or ideas that you want to paraphrase. So for example, you could say Lawal 2007 said, tells, asks, okay, but that will not be acceptable. We don't use the word like says, tells, asks. No, okay. In formal academic writing, you don't use this kind of verbs. Okay, you need to know the appropriate set of verbs you should use. We don't use this kind of verbs, reference verbs. So if you are referring to an author for the first time in your work, you can state like this: Lawal 2007 ... reported that, okay. So, or Lawal 2007 comments that, concludes that, explains that, indicates, notes, observes, remarks, states, argues. Okay, you can use this set of verbs, introductory verbs, to kind of give an idea of when you are introducing statement from an author for the first time. Okay, so this can be used. Okay, so Lawal 2007 comments that, concludes that, explains that. All these will be useful when you are introducing what an idea from an author for the first time. Okay, it doesn't mean it's only that time that you can use this. There will be other examples. I will highlight them as we proceed. So, depending on the instance, you could also use the following. So, let's say, for example, there's Lawal and Asimia 2019. Okay, you may also use something like this: advocates the view that, they hold the position that, they present the argument that, or they propose that. So there are always different ways. So you have to find a language that best describe what you are trying to do. Is it that they are proposing, or are they of the particular opinion, or they concluded, or they are advocating for a particular view? So you must look at what you are, the idea from the author that you are trying to express. Look carefully. Are they arguing, or are they proposing, or are they of a particular position based on their result? So look at that carefully. You could also use something like emphasizes, illustrates, points out, propose. Okay, remember we have said that before. Proposes, okay, shows, suggests. So these are some of the reference verbs you should use, or you could use. There are many more. I cannot give you an exhaustive details of what you could use. As you get familiar with your own way of writing, you get better at using these reference verbs. But here is just to provide you with some examples to help you quickly master the skills of paraphrasing. So there are some other ways you could do it. Okay, for example, if you want to express what this particular author found in their work, you could say, for example, findings of Lawal 2009 confirms that. Okay, so you are really expressing what they got from their work. So Remember, this also depends on what is it you're trying to express in your work. So you must read carefully. That way you know what suits the purpose. Another one could be the analysis of the UNEP report, or the analysis presented in the UNEP report denies the claim that, or the analysis from the UNEP report shows that or suggests that. So different approach depending on the situation that you are faced with. So all these are examples of how to create to introduce the ideas of other people with proper acknowledgement of the source from which the ideas came from. So you must use reference verbs, but you must decide the appropriate and utilize the appropriate reference verbs. If you are referring to that same work, remember you may use that same work from someone, you might refer to it more than once. Okay? If I want to refer back to the work of Lawal that was previously mentioned, that I recently earlier mentioned in my work, within the same paragraph or not, I could say Lawal 2007 further asserts that, okay, so I'm linking this to this, okay, further points out, further suggests, so which means I've initially referred to this work and I want to refer to it again to bring up another idea that they highlighted. Okay, so I could do it another way: additionally advocated, additionally argue, additionally emphasize, additionally explain. So in this case, I'm referring to the work subsequently. I have mentioned it previously, but I want to point out some of the other things that they said again in that work that is relevant for my own study. Other useful work will be compare, okay, observed, determined, distinguished, identify, prove. So all these are useful reference verbs. Remember, I am not saying these are the only ones you can use. I'm only highlighting some of the ones you could use. You will have to determine which situation requires which particular verb. So for this session, we have covered different reference verbs that you can use for your citation. So the best way to get used to it is to practice, practice, practice. Thank you.